All right. So Payton Talbott got fraud checked bad. He looked human. He hung with it. He didn't look demoralized, but we knew that this was going to happen where he's going to hit a roadblock at some point and lose, but I just didn't expect it to happen this soon, especially after the tear he's been on with his past couple of fights. No one could have seen this coming, so I was thinking, like, if he beats this guy, he can move on to Kyler Phillips, like, beats him in devastating fashion. But he ultimately lost, so I think it's safe to say that Payton Talbott has some things to work on. Now, I am familiar with his YouTube content. It's pretty good. But I think he needs to focus a little bit more on fighting than all these creative projects he has in mind right now. He needs to cover some of his bases and not spread himself thin. I get when you're like in your 20s and you are in the UFC, it just seems like everything's at your disposal and it's easy to get caught up in that. But I think this is going to give him a little bit of a perspective, like a kind of ego death that he needs to propel himself forward. Honestly, as a guy who was glazing this guy hard, my ego as a Payton Talbott fan has had a death. And, you know, when you get on the hype train with the dude and you see him back it up and you're like, okay, I want to see this guy do more. Man, as a Payton Talbott fan, I can say, you know what? I was completely wrong. But I know the perfect fight for Payton at this point. And it's one that I was calling for a while ago. A lot of people thought that it was kind of crazy because they weren't the same caliber. Now we can kind of see that they are the same caliber. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Payton Talbott should be next. Raul Rosas has that jiu-jitsu style. He's young. He's hungry. He could make some things happen, you know. And I feel like that's that similar style, like a diet version of what that one dude was dishing out. I forgot that guy's name, so I apologize for that. I was all there for Payton, but it was a very similar jiu-jitsu heavy style that if Payton took that fight, it is a sink or swim option for him right now. But it is winnable because I don't think Raul Rosas was as tough as the last guy he was fighting, and then maybe they could run it back, or then he can move forward after that. But it's winnable for either guys. It's an interesting matchup, and it's the two young rising stars at bantamweight that are probably destined now to meet. So, in a way, as a Payton Talbott fan, I know that the hype train has been derailed really bad, but it's going to get back on track. But it opens up as a blessing in disguise for Raul Rosas Jr. and Payton Talbott to happen, because I wanted to see this fight happen when they both hit the scene. And I was like, okay, maybe Payton's out of Raul Rosas Jr.'s league, but now it is. Now I think it's actually fair to say that that would be a good fight, a good matchup. But we'll have to wait and see what the UFC does. Let's go.